Okay, thank you. Hey there. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for May 26, 2020. Again, we are coming at you via Zoom, and we have 12 aldermen in attendance here. We have several other people that have watched us and presumably are watching us through YouTube and other live streaming possibilities, or watching it another time through video. Appreciate all the aldermen being here tonight. The first thing we need to do is, as I did before, is we're going to go ahead and call the roll just to make sure that everybody can unmute themselves and mute themselves, just to make sure technically everybody can participate in the meeting. So, Kay, can you go ahead and do that for us?
Bolt.
Here.
Brown. We know he's not here. Campbell.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Edwards.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Petrelli.
Here.
Robertson.
Here.
Skidmore.
Here.
Browse.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Woodcock.
Here.
Clary.
Here. I appreciate that, Kay. Is that 12 of us?
That's 12 of you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to go ahead and do our prayer and pledge, which is typically how we begin our meeting. So I'll provide our prayer, and then I'm going to step out of the way so everybody can see the flag there, and I'll lead us in the pledge. So please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for the opportunities that you have provided us here to lead our city. And thank you for many of the wonderful opportunities you have provided us, even though we have a dark cloud above. Thank you for providing us the opportunity to get to know our neighbors better, and to spend more time with our families, and to appreciate some of the things that have very often been overlooked. At the same time, we need to ask you to look after the people who are susceptible to this illness, and the people who have succumbed to this illness, and the people who have died from this illness, and look after their families. We appreciate so much of what you provide to us, and we look forward to even more of that. We need special attention on one of our own, Alderman Steve Brown, as well as the Campbell family who have suffered recently. Also for Albert Eisenberg, somebody who has provided an awful lot to our community as well as to his country, and passed on such an appropriate day as yesterday. And please continue to look after our healthcare workers and our first responders, and remind us to appreciate them and to show gratitude whenever we possibly can. And we appreciate so much, and help us to do with your wisdom what your son would do. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
Of the United States of America. Public for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Visible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I will entertain a motion to accept our agenda.
So move. Second.
Who made was that Alderman Edwards making the motion?
Waters.
Who was it? Alderman Waters. And then the second came from Alderman Skidmore?
That's correct. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I don't see anybody's hands electronically or visually. All those in favor of accepting the agenda, please signify by saying aye when Kay calls your name. Those who oppose, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt.
Yes.
Campbell.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Edwards.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Petrelli.
Aye.
Robertson.
Aye.
Skidmore.
Aye.
Skidmore.
Aye.
Sprouse.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Woodcock.
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Passed unanimously. Thank you. And next we have presentations, and we're going to ask Julie White to tell us a little bit about a project she's been working on. And Alderman Robertson, feel free to chime in as we move forward with this. So Julie, please tell us a little bit about yourself and about this project, please.
Well, I am not coming to you tonight from the Senior Center or about the Senior Center. I'm coming to you as a Rotarian and as a member of the committee that is working on the First Responders Memorial. Eddie Roberson is the overall chairman of this committee, and Barbara Brennan is the design chairperson. Heather Frost is the public relations chairperson, and I am the fundraising chairperson. We have been meeting for many, many, many months on this, and with the help of Chief Bush and Chief Miller, as well as Sheriff Weatherford and the Sumner County EMS. We have arrived at a design, which you know, this has been presented to you, and with the blessings of all the chiefs have moved forward. And we are now in the fundraising stage, which is why I am coming to you tonight to let you know where we stand with this and where we plan to go forward. And the COVID-19 has kind of changed things a bit for us in what we had originally planned, but we're still moving forward with our original plans on unveiling it on 9/11. And we are raising funds right now. And like I said, the reason that I wanted to come to you tonight was so that we can get this out into the public eye and let them know where we are and that we have not stopped and we're not going to stop until we raise the money needed. Our goal is $42,000 and we are about halfway there right now. We've got a lot of pledges, but as we all know, with the current job situation, we don't know if those pledges will come to fruition because people have lost jobs. So with the help of Chief Bush and Assistant Chief Jones, we're going to be working on going to the vendors that the city uses. Jonathan Hayes has also offered to help with some of the vendors that the city uses in other departments to hopefully gain some support from them. And when I say support, I mean dollars. And if there's anybody that has questions, we would love to entertain those now. And Eddie, if there's something I can't answer, I will allow you to, because we want to make sure we get the correct information out there. So go ahead if anybody's got any questions.
There are no hands raised.
Yay! We're doing it right.
You did such a good job with all the details.
Thank you, Julie, for all the work you do on this. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, but it's not just me. It's a collective effort of our entire Rotary Club, as you know, Russ, because you're a member of that. So thank you. Eddie, do you have anything you'd like to say? You're muted.
He's muted.
Muted, Eddie.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay, my mouse stopped working. So there's a mouse run in BOMA meeting tonight. I do want to thank everybody. We have had over 40 companies and individuals make a contribution. And I would like to thank on the board, Alderman Bolt, Edwards, the mayor, Alderman Hayes, and myself have made contributions. And if you would like to make a contribution, I can provide the P.O. box. And this is a Rotary sponsored event, and it's going to be a great, what better time to honor our first responders than the COVID-19 situation and how they have responded to the community to help us. So this is a lasting tribute. There will be also a time capsule that will be opened on the city's 100th birthday. So Alderman Cunningham, maybe you can be there at that unveiling to open the time capsule. But we're going to put a lot of neat stuff in the time capsule. So please, if you are interested, contact Julie and she can get you the information. And those that have already contributed in the whole city, we really appreciate your contribution for this worthy cause. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. I'm trying to get the website, Eddie, because I'm on my computer. It won't. My phone's telling me that our Rotary website is not a legitimate link, but it is. We are the Rotary Club of Hendersonville, and there is a link on our website that you can go directly to PayPal and make your contribution. And for whatever reason, it is not letting me do that, but I will stop talking and see if I can find it. And then I will put it in the chat, and Mayor, if you don't mind repeating that later for anybody that might be listening later on so that they can make their contribution.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate that, Julie. Next, we have a public hearing. We have no public hearings, and then we have minutes. So I entertain a motion to approve our minutes for May 12th, 2020.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Alderman Sprouse,
Second.
second from Alderman Waters. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli. Aye. Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Kay. Next, we have citizen comments. Tina, do we have anybody signed up for citizen comments?
So moved.
No, sir, we do not.
Thank you. Committee reports. Chairman Cunningham, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to report that we completed our entire agenda on the Finance Committee tonight. A rarity nowadays. All members were there. We had some ordinances and resolutions to discuss. Ordinance 2020-15 and ordinance amending budget ordinance 2019-22 to transfer excess budgeted funds to fund overage in the executive department line items. No recommendation was made on that one. Ordinance 2020-16, ordinance amending budget ordinance 2019-22 by appropriating $6,646.35 to Mary's Magical Place maintenance line item. That was recommended unanimously by the committee. Ordinance 2020-17, ordinance amending budget ordinance 2019-22 by appropriating $36,396.06 to the sponsorship fund special projects line item. That was recommended unanimously. Ordinance 2020-18, an ordinance amending, accepting and appropriating United States Tennis Association grant funds. That was recommended unanimously. Under resolutions, we had resolutions 2020-26. Resolutions to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property was recommended unanimously. Resolutions 2020-27, resolutions to purchase homes through the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency was also recommended unanimously, and those were the homes that continually flood on Savely Court. And under our other items, which would be the different sales taxes, the sales tax collections, which would have been in May. We actually collected them in May, but they were applicable through March. $1,127,332. It was down by only 31, and I say only because our projected, originally our finance folks had projected a loss of between 50 and 60,000. So that was a loss of $31,798. So year over year, we're up by $561,295 in sales tax, or at 102%, 102.80, so almost 103% year over year. We took a huge hit on our hotel motel tax. Last year, the same month last year, we collected $32,661 in hotel motel tax. This year, it was only $4,605. So it was a huge hit, but I mean, that was, everybody knows why. Then we had some we had cash flow analysis report, and that is the end of my report. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Cunningham. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The General Committee is going to have a special called meeting 1 week from tonight. That's Tuesday, June the 2nd at 5 p.m. That's going to be a virtual meeting. So we'll be meeting via Zoom, and it'll be available, I believe, via the normal streaming access. This meeting is our budget meeting. We will be reviewing the executive and ECD budgets, the codes budget, planning, and the IT budgets. Then we'll have our the next week on Tuesday, June 9th, 6:30 will be our next regular meeting. And Mayor, if you wouldn't mind indulging me just a second, I meant to add the nonprofit committee. We met last week. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I will be getting with the committee members tomorrow to schedule our second meeting so we can have a recommendation to the board in time for first reading of the budget.
Chairman Sprouse, thank you. Vice Chairman Petrelli, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Public Safety Committee met on May 19th, 2020. We have resolution 2020-26, a resolution to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property and directing disposal of the same. That was passed unanimously. We did a review of the fiscal year 2021 police and fire budget. As we reviewed last week in the budget workshop, both of those departments have been trimmed down significantly. Also added to the agenda was a discussion on regarding who department heads report to and take direction from. It was confirmed that all department heads are to report and take direction from the city administrator only. I'd also like to, ask folks to please keep Chairman Brown in your continued prayers. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Chairman Petrelli, thank you. Public Works Committee, Chairman Skidmore.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We had a meeting tonight to go over the budget. We're really nowhere near. We've got two more items to take care of with the budget. We're going to be scheduling a meeting of the Public Works Committee before the June 9th meeting. But we discussed recycling at length tonight, and that's was most of our agenda tonight. And other than that, we're going to schedule another meeting strictly for the budget to clear it up, to get it up to the board. Thank you.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Chairman Campbell, Capital Projects Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no report. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Planning Commission, Alderman Woodcock.
No report. We meet next week.
Appreciate that. Interim City Administrator Dave Lamar.
You're muted, Dave.
We don't hear you, Dave. There you go. Now you're good.
There you go. My screen went out. Hold on. I'm trying to sit down here on the porch here. Just a few things, kind of catch up from a couple of weeks ago. I think Alderman Woodcock asked about the leaf bag program. We decided about 6 weeks ago, Alderman Woodcock, that we were spending several $1,000s on that, and that we would try to get through this leaf season and debris season and things like that, and go through the end of May. So we alerted people that May 22nd would be the end of the free leaf bag giveaway. So we're just trying to save a few dollars there. Budget meetings are ongoing with the department heads. Some have met with the committee, some haven't. We've gone back with police and fire again and met with them, but we'll be touching base with each one of the department heads before we come to you guys on June the 9th for the first budget workshop. One of the things that I'm looking at as an interim city administrator is the hours of City Hall, as you well know, have been changed through this COVID-19. Some people working from home, some people coming to City Hall half days, and Codes Department has been knocking it out of the park. They've been coming in every day from 8:30 to 1. And I think Greg said he had 85 inspections today. They've been doing 60, 70, 80 inspections a day, which is great. The Codes Department has really been ramped up here the last couple of months. With that being said, we're gonna stay this week 8:30 to 1. I think everybody we'll have some child care issues, and we have some people that have got spouses with surgeries. We also have some again child care issues and things like that. So we gave the people a week ago notice that June 1st, we would be coming back to City Hall 8 hours, 8 to 4. We've kind of modified the hours a little bit. City employees will still be working 8 hours a day. City Hall will be open 8 to 4. When it closes at 4 o'clock, that'll give the finance department, the codes department, the planning department, the taxes, all those people that have got to balance their books, finish their permits, paperwork and things like that. That'll give them 30 minutes. So hope to cut down on some overtime. One of the things we noticed when we were closing at 1 o'clock with the codes department, those ladies weren't leaving till 1:30, 1:45, sometimes 2 o'clock, just because people were coming in right at 1 o'clock. So hopefully this 30-minute window will give the employees time to finish their daily workload, but still give the city residents a chance to get to City Hall by 4 o'clock. Just in saying that is one of the things we've learned. A lot of people have been working from home. Some people have been coming in 2 or 3 days a week. Some people they've been split shifts with different departments. We haven't lost anything. I don't think that the 12 aldermen and the mayor have had any complaints about the city department heads and/or the employees being responsive. I think they've been responsive, getting back with with citizens and complaints and things like that. So I think they've been very responsive during this time. So let's see, one of the things, had a request for my time since I've started December the 10th. I gave that to the mayor today, and I'm going to forward that to all the aldermen since you guys hired me as a board of directors. And somebody requests something of me personally, like my time and that I've worked. I'm going to forward that to all the aldermen tonight, so that you all can see how many hours I've worked. Like I said in my email, I've got nothing to hide, so it's all good. Also got a request about the city administrator applications. Like I said, the last meeting, we're moving forward. We have 2 people left out of the 24. Those 2 people are just waiting to be interviewed by the board when we can reconvene as a board at City Hall. So these 2 people are still in the hopper. They're still interested in coming to Hendersonville. Time frame has changed a little bit just because of the COVID and us being out of work and the board not meeting. So with that being said, as soon as the board gets back and we can get a night sometime maybe in June. I suggest not a budget night, also some other night other than the budget, that we bring these 2 people to Hendersonville and go through the interview process. Like I said, first reading the budget is June 9th. I'd like to get back to meeting at City Hall during that time frame. I think we're spaced far enough away. Tina and the IT department has knocked it out of the park as far as the getting everybody spaced away. Y'all hear that? You know that dog in my neighborhood? Wow, crazy. We've had staff meetings every day at 1:30 or 3 o'clock with 32 or 30 of the top staff people. So that's going well. Anyway, one of the things that talking about the budget, and I just want to kind of reiterate, because I'd like to come in with a balanced budget on June the 9th, and then let you guys reapply or put back things that you want to see in your area. So whether it's paving or drainage or capital projects or whatever, but come with a project list and let you guys look at this complete project list and see what you want to put back in if you do. We still want to leave the fund balance at $4 million. Robert and I talked about that today. So with that being said, we'll come back with some suggestions for the board and see how that goes. The departments are doing a good job turning money back in. They've cut back some expenditures for 2021. Some of them cut some capital projects out. And so we're just looking at all ways to make this thing work. The bottom line is we asked for more money for next year. We got less money coming in from this year. And so we're just going to have to try to balance this thing as best we can. But I think we can do it without the 2 things that I've talked about the whole time: no tax increase and not laying anybody off. So those are 2 things that I want to stick with through this whole budget process. So I'll try to open it up to any questions anybody has at this point for me. If you have anything.
Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Dave, I just want to, I have just 2 questions. One, I don't know whether I should go ask the mayor to ask Chief Bush But I would like to know what the statistics are now with the coronavirus in Sumner County. That I think that's very, very important at this point.
I think we can include that in Dave's report if he just wants to ask Chief Bush to give it to us.
Yeah, and Mr. Skidmore, with just all due respect, I send the COVID report out every night that Chief Bush sends me. So I'll be sending the one out for today. So everything is up to date as of yesterday. Sumner County's doing pretty well. They've only been in double figures out of the last month, maybe 2 or 3 times. So the Sumner County's doing okay. It's not 0, but it's one day it was 2, one day it was 6, one day it was 4, one day it was 11. I think it was 11 today. So I think we're doing okay. Hopefully in 2 weeks from tonight that we're doing even better. But
yeah, let's all hope for that. Amen. And the other thing is, I just want to tell you, and I'll look for that in our emails, the report. But I just want to tell you, over the past couple of months and everything, what an outstanding job you've done and how much I've appreciated as an alderman and as a friend that you've done an absolutely remarkable job in maintaining you and you with working with the department heads and everybody, including other aldermen. What an outstanding job you've done, and I commend you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that,
Mark.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Dave, appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have second reading of ordinance 2020-11. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 17, regarding refuse and trash disposal. Alderman Hayes.
Also move.
Alderman Hayes, would you like to second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a
I'd like to
motion.
speak on that briefly.
We have a motion, a second. Alderman Edwards.
Yeah, I'll just briefly talk about this. I know we had a pretty good, healthy discussion about it 2 weeks ago, and it's something I've come up with and something I've had on my mind for a while. And I appreciate Alderman Hayes agreeing to have to co-sponsor this with me. As the aldermen know, and for the benefit of others, it's basically if trash or recycling is placed at the curb, if people elect to do so, they must put it out no earlier than 4:00 p.m. the day prior to service and pick up no later than 7:00 a.m. the day after service. And that specifically excludes yard waste. And I just think it's only fair to all citizens to have a good, clean city. I don't know if anybody can deny that. I think this ordinance is in the best interest of the city. And I have had I've had some good positive feedback, some negative feedback to this. I think a good argument against this is if somebody decides to clean out their garage on the weekend, they can't put their items out at the curb on Saturday if it's not getting picked up till Wednesday, which I completely understand. That's what I did this weekend. I cleaned out my garage, but I'm not putting and we had a lot of items, but I didn't put it out at the curb for the trash to come on Thursday. So I think it's only proper to have this. And one constituent that did reach out to me in favor of this, he complained that in Ward 3 that he has 6 houses on his street that leave their trash out 24/7. And we have a lot of problems with this. And this is really towards areas that don't have homeowners associations, because homeowners associations have pretty strict guidelines. I know Mansker Farms does. So, but this city does not have any ordinance that addresses this. Marshall did a comparison of surrounding and comparable cities, and really what we've proposed here is the most lenient of all surrounding and comparable cities. So, and it's not very penalizing. You get 2 warnings in writing, and the 3rd time you get cited to go to city court with a $50 fine. I highly doubt that the city court's docket is going to be full of these matters. So I don't think it's going to be too taxing on the police or our court system. So with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has, and I would appreciate everybody's support.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. Alderman Hayes.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Russ, thank you for thinking of this. And just on a positive note, I think that the great citizens of Hendersonville, for the most part, they want to follow the rules and the laws. And this is not an effort to legislate good taste or to punish anyone. But I have found that in the past, when this board approved, for example, please don't feed the deer, most citizens will follow the rules and they'll try not to do that. If they're asked to not blow the grass out on the street, we're not going to fine people for that usually. I don't know if anyone's ever been fined for either of those. And we're not looking to fine anyone who leaves their trash can out. What we're hoping that will happen is we will encourage all the citizens just to follow the good taste rules of cleaning up and taking those trash cans back. So in a positive note, thank you so much, Russ. I appreciate your thoughtfulness on this legislation, and I appreciate the whole board's support, knowing that it's just a way to improve Hendersonville and the aesthetics. Thank you all.
Alderman Hayes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Alderman Skidmore.
Well, I really don't have anything to say about it, except I think it's a good ordinance, but I had an interesting email come in today from Miss Karras over on the Walton Trace subdivision, and she had some rather interesting questions, really, and I don't know if it's time to do it this evening or not, but we're going to be going over. I'm going to give her a shout tomorrow, and we're going to be going over her questions. And it does have a particular, she has one particular question that deals directly with this ordinance, but I don't think that it's going to bother her as much as it is some of the other households in Hendersonville. It's going to be our job, and I think that Alderman Edwards had said this a while back, which is very true, and so did Alderman Hayes. I think alluded to it. It's going to be our job to remind the city of Hendersonville or our constituency, what the rules are, and I think that's very important, because I think sometimes in a lot of our ordinances that they are really good ordinances, except we just fail as a board to remind the city what the rules are. Most people say, hey, Skid, just tell me what the rules are and I'll play by them. It doesn't matter to me. And I think, it's going to be our job as aldermen to do that. But this is a good ordinance, Russ and Alderman Hayes, and I support it. It's gone through the hash, and I just want everybody to know that I think it's a good ordinance and we should all pass it. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Strauss.
Thank you, Mayor. I voted on this for first reading, had a lot of discussion with folks about it, had mixed opinions. Those who are for it are strongly for it. Those who are against it are strongly against it. I, however, am going to vote against it on second reading. And here are my reasons why. We had the comparison to the deer ordinance, the deer feeding ordinance, to the mowing the grass out onto the street ordinances. Those were not about aesthetics. Those were passed because for safety issues. We have demonstrated that feeding the deer leads to concentrations of deer in neighborhoods. We know that there are a large number of automobile accidents in Hendersonville because of the deer crossing the street. We have had demonstrated that grass on the street is not safe for cyclists or motorcyclists especially. That's why we impose a rule upon the citizens. That's why the city has an interest in what's being done. It wasn't for aesthetic reasons. We impose a rule with the punishment of a fine because of safety reasons. What one neighbor could do towards another affects the safety of that neighbor. This is purely aesthetic. If we really wanted to worry about the aesthetics, we pay for backdoor garbage pickup. If you really wanted to worry about garbage service, about garbage cans on the curb, we would pass a rule that says that garbage cans are never at the curb unless there is something that has to be at the curb per the contract with the waste provider. I mean, that's if we really want to get into that. But here what it really comes down to. I know that we've delayed implementation of this until the fall, but it doesn't matter. if we enact this in 5 days, 5 weeks, or 5 months. It's going to be a last minute type thing that people are going to be paying attention to it. They're going to be upset because it's yet one more change we're making to the trash service. It's one more rule we're imposing on them during a time when people are already having a lot of restrictions upon what they're having to do and how they're living. And most importantly, we're going to be adding additional burdens to the people who work for the city who enforce this. And we're already talking about the possibility of reducing hours. I don't see how in the world we're going to be adding any personnel. And I just don't think that now is the time, with all of the restrictions we have on employees, all the restrictions we have upon citizens, to go ahead and to be adding an additional law for aesthetic reasons that I really just don't think is all that enforceable. And if we can't enforce something, we don't have the intentions of enforcing something, let's just not even put the rule on the books. Thank you.
Alderman Strauss, thank you. Alderman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with my counterpart, Alderman Sprouse. I've had several people contact me that have said that they really were not crazy about this, the city getting in their business when their garbage can winds up the street and comes back. And some of them work at nighttime and were telling me the issues they had about getting it out before and having it back the day after. And just some days they let it sit out there a little longer than that, just due to their particular type of job. And also, speaking about communicating this, the problem with our garbage collection contract right now is we have sent out mailers, we've sent out letters, we've all expressed the contract on Facebook and social media, emails, and all kind, and face to face with people. And there's so much confusion out there right now. People still don't know exactly. Some people still think we have twice a week trash picked up right now, today. They still think that. And the continued saga of garbage just we need to hit a spot where, hey, good, let's let it go. So I'm going to vote no on this as well. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time.
Alderman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a question either for you or Public Works Director or Public Works Chairman. I don't have the contract that we made with this trash company, and I'm going to try to go by memory. So you correct me if I'm wrong. Is the new contract that we have with Waste Pro, was it a backdoor contract?
That's correct. Yeah, backdoor collection.
Okay.
Yes.
How and why did we ever get to the curb with trash if the contract reads backdoor once a week? Will you answer that for me, either Marshall or the Mayor? Go ahead, Marshall.
There's a variety, maybe a variety of reasons. I know I can speak for myself. My container, I have the largest container you can have for collection, and so I roll it out to the street every one day a week. There's other people that we've come into contact with who prefer not to have people on their property, and so they make the decision to take their trash to the street. There's a variety of reasons, but
okay, I hear what you're saying. That's not what the contract says, and I wish I had it with me in front of me so I could read it. But they beat out Republic for X number of millions of dollars that we're going to save a year. But pardon me.
Alderman Waters, go ahead. Let's let Alderman Waters finish.
I thought I heard somebody grumbling.
But anyway, go ahead.
The contract, if my memory serves me correctly, is backdoor once a week. But all of a sudden, here we come down with everybody's taking it down to the street for some reason. I don't know what caused the change. It's not what the contract says, and I'd love to be corrected if I'm wrong. And getting back to the previous speakers about the fines, they're right. We don't fine people for deer and grass, and we don't. That's not it. It's the threat that this ordinance is sending to our community. But I'd love to have a response on the contract that we have with this company. It's backdoor, and why they take it to the street, I don't understand. I leave mine at the back door. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I direct my question to the maker of the ordinance?
Sure, he's got no obligation to respond, but go ahead.
I'll respond, I promise. Or try.
Would the makers of the ordinance consider extending or making a revision to it in the case of a holiday week? People are confused enough, I agree, about trash, and our normal pickup day is on Wednesday. I see people with their trash out today, and I live in an HOA. Would the maker make a revision during a holiday week?
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh yeah, I can go ahead and make a motion to amend, so this would not apply if there's a holiday in the week that would cause any kind of disruption of service or delay of service. I would make that motion.
Russ, maybe it needs to be a holiday that's recognized in the contracts. Marshall, help me out. I think we have 10 or 12 recognized holidays that's in the contract.
Right. I think there's, going off of memory, I think there's 5 or 6. Obviously, Memorial Day was one of those. Thanksgiving, July 4th, New Year's, Christmas. Yeah, I think there's 5 or 6 across the year that we delay service just by one day. So if pickup days on that holiday, then it simply moved to the next day.
Well, how about if we say if service is delayed for whatever reason, then this ordinance does not apply.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is that a motion, Alderman Edwards?
Yeah, that'll be my formal motion.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
And we have a second. So let's speak just on this item, on this amendment, okay? Which is to negate the enforcement of this if service is delayed for any reason. So here's who I have that are ready to speak: Alderman Cunningham, Alderman Bolt, Alderman Edwards, Alderman Petrelli, Alderman Campbell, Alderman Sprouse. Do any of y'all wish to speak specifically to this amendment?
Yes.
Alderman Sprouse, go ahead.
I think this question and the amendment to address this question hits squarely on the issue of enforcement, because we were already saying it's kind of confusing what we have the level of service. Mr. Waters expressed concern about, is it back door, is it front door? It's just one more moving piece. And so is it delayed because of a holiday? Is it delayed because they missed me? Is it delayed because of weather? I think it just complicates the issue even further. Instead of resolving the concern, I think it really reinforces the concern that this is just going to be a burdensome ordinance for residents to understand, to follow, and for the city to enforce.
Alderman Cunningham, Alderman Bolt, Alderman Edwards, Alderman Petrelli, Alderman Campbell, do you wish to speak on this amendment?
No, I'm finished speaking. Right
No.
now.
Can I rephrase the amendment, Mayor?
Sure.
I would propose, I guess, at the end of the amendment for it to say, this ordinance does not apply if there's citywide disruption of service.
Okay. Who made the second on that? Alderman Cunningham?
Yes, I did.
Do you agree with
Yes.
that change?
I agree with that change.
Okay. Alderman Edwards, can you read that to us again?
Okay. This ordinance does not apply if there is citywide disruption of service.
Okay. Do we put that just under the main paragraph there?
Let me pull it up. We could probably just put that at the very end of that main paragraph. Yeah.
Okay, at the end of the main paragraph.
That's what I propose.
Okay.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
I have another question.
Alderman Sprouse, go ahead.
Okay, that addresses citywide disruption of service, but what if someone comes home and their trash isn't picked up on the delayed day it's supposed to be picked up? Are they in violation of the ordinance if they leave their trash out until the company comes back to pick it up, which sometimes could be a couple of days?
Alderman Edwards, do you want to address that? Anybody else want to address that? Alderman Edwards?
I don't have, I mean, I don't see how this, I don't see how we can carve out an exception for that. I think it's the police, the person enforcing it, as well as the city attorney and the judge just using good old common sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Alderman Strauss, anything else? Thank you. Alderman Cunningham, do you wish to speak on the amendment? Okay, I'm not going to lower your hand. I'm going to keep you there when we come back to the main motion.
Okay.
Okay. Alderman Bolt, do you wish to speak on the amendment?
No, sir.
Thank you. Alderman Petrelli, do you wish to speak on the amendment?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm just double checking so we don't have a vote by voice and then have to go all the way back. Alderman Campbell, do you want to speak on the amendment?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it appears that nobody else wants to speak on the amendment. So the amendment is that this ordinance does not apply for citywide disruptions in service. Okay, will you call the roll? Those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
No,
Sprouse,
No.
Skidmore,
He's muted.
Art. You muted.
Skidmore,
wake up, Mark.
This thing kind of sneaks up on me. Where? I say aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Campbell,
No.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary,
Aye.
9-3. None yet.
That passes 9-3. Thank you, Kay. We're back on the main motion. Alderman Cunningham, anything else on the main motion?
No, I don't have anything more to add. Thank you, Mayor.
I appreciate that. Alderman Bolt.
Yes, sir. True to form, we'll spend 3 hours discussing something that's really not that big of a deal, but I could go either way on this, to be honest with you, but I want to address just a couple things on the backdoor service. We're not required to have our trash picked up at the back door, and it's been the same way for decades. Quite frankly, there's not very many people in my neighborhood that I know of that haven't come to my back door. My garbage is in my garage. I really don't want them coming in there. So most of us can, in our neighborhood, not everybody, but most of us can wheel it out, 10 yards to the curb, and that helps everybody. So I don't think that's that much of an issue. On the aesthetics, on some of the zoning issues, some of what we do is aesthetics. So that's not really, I don't know if that's necessarily that big of a deal. On the, I kind of agree with Alderman Hayes and Alderman Skidmore relative to, what are the rules? Lynn and I went for a long walk yesterday and we were talking about it. And she gave me a lot of the, well, what if type things, and she said, we've been guilty of that, not pulling it in. And I said, well, we're guilty of it because there is no rules relative to that. So if there were, I think we'd do our best to try and meet those guidelines and bring them in. Not only that, I keep talking about not wanting to be Mayberry anymore, and our neighbors are all around us do have those kind of requirements. I don't think anybody's going to get a fine for leaving it out if they do. I think the only way that at the end of the day that people are there's going to be any kind of an issue is if a neighbor complains, and then they'll have a conversation with that person about maybe trying to do a little better job of bringing it in. And so I don't know. I may very well support it. And I'd go back to what Alderman Edwards too. We'll all just use common sense. And so we're not going to be able to have every single little teeny tiny thing in this particular ordinance to fit every particular situation. I think everybody use common sense, and I think it'll probably just work out fine. Thank you.
Alderman Bolt, thank you. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Alderman Bolt brought up a good point that the amount of time we spend discussing trash at meetings, online, in email and phone calls is astounding. It's kind of like the old airplane movie. you know, picked a bad year to switch to once a week trash. But I don't know what the solution here is. I appreciate Alderman Edwards bringing it up. As you all know from the last meeting, my concern is education. But I do also have concerns about, you know, tapping citizens so many times. So I'm more interested in solving some of these trash issues than policing them. But one of my questions is, I'm not sure why, and I received the same email that Alderman Skidmore received today. I've got constituents on both sides of the fence that they want the trash cans, you know, not laying around on the street, but they also don't want to be told whether people can come to their back door or curbside. So if people put their cans at curbside, and I guess this is a question for Mr. Boyd, I don't want to add an undue burden onto the vendor, but if cans are already on the streets, and it seems to be an issue in the HOA subdivisions, which I do not live in an HOA, can the vendor just simply roll them back to the house? Because it seems typically most HOAs have what, at the most, a 50-foot driveway? Can they just not push the cans back and it eliminates the issue? My concern would be that some people would potentially abuse that, meaning they would never bring their cans in and then we're rolling their cans in all the time. But is there some happy medium here to get this solved?
Marcia, you want to try that?
So if I understand what you're asking, for those people that have their cans curbside, you're asking, can the vendor take those cans and put them back next to the house?
Yeah.
I would think there'd be some reluctance on his part to do that. That would be certainly fairly labor intensive.
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess if they didn't have to haul the trash to the street, they've already saved one trip. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the wheel falls off of the thing, and then somebody's got to pay for it. It's a lot of liability issues involved with that. I don't think the vendor would never go for that.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that, Mr. Bradley. That gives me some clarification. I really like the intent of this legislation, but maybe, I mean, I know you have to have some teeth behind it to enforce it, but you know, since the last discussion that we had on this, I have had some folks that are not in favor of this. So I don't know what the solution here is. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
So I want to make sure if this ordinance passes, Marshall, that you feel confident that you can do some your department can do some public education to get the message out so that customers will know what's expected. My question next is for Mr. Bradley. If this goes to the city court, what kind of potential assessment does the judge have discretion to levy?
The maximum fine is $50, but the court cost is over $100. So it could be, you know, almost $200 in court cost and fines. That would be the maximum. And of course, the judge doesn't have to issue any fine. He can hear the case and decide whether or not he thinks it's something that deserves a fine.
So the judge has discretion whether to issue a fine, but also the enforcement officer has some discretion when he goes out and looks at the situation, if he can talk to the customer or the resident, and the residents, oh yeah, I wasn't aware of that, then he wouldn't have to write a citation. So I think there is sufficient amount of discretion at both ends, both the enforcement and the judicial portion. So I think that it will help those situations that aren't HOA. And I understand both sides, but I intend to support the resolution. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I was going to say that I'm one of those people who take my trash to the street. I've lived in this house now 30 years and been doing it for 30 years. Mom and dad's trash still goes to the street. Even when we've had backdoor service, it's always just take it the 25 steps to the street. I do have a 96-gallon tip cart provided by Republic, and it still says Republic on the side of it. And the new people have wanted to rip the top off of it a couple of times, and I keep putting it back on for them, showing them how that goes right back on. But I just feel like the more layers of things we add to our trash pickup, the more confused our constituents are going to be. If we keep talking about education, we have sent out mailers, we have put on door hangers, we have all of us have shared different parts of this on our own Facebook page, social media, and ways of getting out the information to the public. And there's still confusion. We need one voice communicating this. We need to have a communications officer that communicates for us on Facebook, all different types of information distribution, so we can get streamlined and have a smooth situation when it comes to getting out the information, getting the facts out there. So anyways, I'm still going to vote no on this and appreciate the discussion.
Alderman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for John. John, you said the judge could he has the liberty not to even find the plaintiff. What about court costs? Would I still have to pay court costs even though the judge dismissed it?
The judge has discretion with that. And often if someone comes to court and says they fixed the problem or it won't happen again, the judge will not impose a fine, and sometimes he'll just impose half of the court cost. He's got the discretion to decide just what to do there. So that's kind of up to the judge how to deal with that.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm the only one on this board, the way I'm hearing this, that's never had a complaint called. They didn't come get my trash at the back door today. Why? And I said, well, I don't know. Did they get it last time at the back door? No. Did you report it? Yeah, but they didn't do nothing. So I think what I meant a while ago about the contract, I think we all started out on the same track as being a backdoor service. Then it's gradually got to the curb. And I had one on Braxton Lane last week. He called me. He wouldn't come up to the back door to pick it up. There's no fence, there's no dogs, no nothing. He just wouldn't do it. He didn't do it. So I can't vote for this ordinance. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Yeah, just briefly, I do apologize to everybody for bringing this up. I guess there's really no good time to do this. I still think it's in the best interest of the city. Now, Mr. Bradley, we talked about the city judge having discretion. You also have discretion to not, even if the ticket is brought before the court, you have discretion to not prosecute it. Isn't that right?
That is correct. I usually would not be involved in that decision, but if a police officer or the property maintenance officer or the codes officer, if they involved me, yes, I would. I normally don't know about that, but sometimes I am involved and I would definitely have that discretion.
Okay. So we had a lot of layers of discretion here. And Alderman Sprouse brought out a good point. This will not become effective until October 1st by the language of the ordinance. So hopefully by then we'll have everybody up and going. And I don't see this ordinance requiring hardly any manpower at all. Maybe a couple letters sent out at the most. And I think somebody had brought up, maybe Alderman Waters, this does apply to recycling. And if somebody elects to hire a recycling company, that's mandated to be taken to the curb. I've always taken all my trash to the curb. That's what I prefer. Yeah, sure that it's picked up. It makes me comfortable that it's going to be picked up, and I have a 96-gallon trash can. So I appreciate everybody's support. And again, I apologize. Thank you very much.
I don't see anybody else with their hand up. Am I missing anybody? Feel free to wave at me. So we've got second reading of ordinance 2020-11 as we've amended it here. Kay, please call everybody's name, and those in support, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying no. This is the main motion as amended.
Bolt,
Barely, aye.
Campbell,
No.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli, Petrelli,
I don't think she can hear.
I can hear.
He's thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Come on,
Making
Peg.
us out.
got a long pause.
Sorry, I'm so sick of talking about trash.
Come on, Peg.
Abstain. Sorry.
Robertson,
Yes.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
No.
Waters,
No.
Woodcock,
No.
Clary,
No.
Sorry, Russ.
It's all right.
Okay.
6 ayes, 5 nays, and 1 abstention.
6 ayes, 5 nays, and 1 abstention. Is that correct?
What's the verdict?
That's a no.
That's a
Yes.
no, 6-6.
That requires,
you.
it requires 7 votes for this to pass. So therefore that failed.
Thank you.
John, help me here. Do we move on to the next item? Have we disposed
Yes.
of that? Okay,
Now, you're finished with that one. Somebody can bring it back up later, but it failed tonight.
okay, I appreciate that. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2020-13. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 4, Chapter 3, regarding the comprehensive classification and compensation plan. Alderman Sprouse.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Motion from Alderman Sprouse, second from Alderman Waters. I see no hands, neither real nor virtual. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
That passes unanimously. Next, we have reading of resolution 2020-24. This is a resolution amending the personnel rules regarding the rate of pay for promotions, demotions, and transfers. Alderman Sprouse. Alderman Sprouse, we didn't hear anything.
So
from you.
moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Alderman Sprouse made the motion. Alderman Campbell made the second. I see no hands, neither virtual nor real. All those in favor of resolution 2020-24, please signify by saying aye. And those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Sprouse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
Unanimous.
That passes unanimously. Next, we have resolution 2020-25. This is a resolution amending the personnel rules and regulations regarding Rule 15. Alderman Campbell.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Alderman Campbell and a second from Alderman Sprouse. I see no hands, neither real nor virtual. All those in favor of resolution 2020-25, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Browse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2020-26. This is a resolution to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property and directing disposal of that property.
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Petrelli
Second.
and a second from Alderman Waters. I see no hands, neither real nor virtual. And I am looking hard, I promise you. All those in favor of Resolution 2020-26, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Browse,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham.
Alderman Cunningham, we didn't hear you.
Sorry.
Campbell,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you, Kay. That passed unanimously. Next, we have other agenda items. Item A, which is a vote on the appointment of Mason McGivney to serve on the Hendersonville Arts Council. Alderman Robertson.
Thank you. Jim,
Second.
both Alderman Waters and I bring this recommendation to you.
Alderman Robertson, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, Alderman Robertson makes a motion. Alderman Waters, second.
Second. Second.
Thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, I bring this nomination to you. Mason is very interested in the visual arts, and when we approached him, he was very excited about serving on this board. This is a vacancy in Ward 6, and I think that Mason will do a great job in serving on this important board for the city, and I hope everyone will support his nomination.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. And I apologize. I don't think we actually needed a second for that. I don't see any hands, real nor virtual. All those in favor of appointing Mason McGivney to serve on the Hendersonville Arts Council, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Browse,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
That passed unanimously. Thank you, Kay. We have a motion to adjourn from
Alderman
moved.
Edwards.
Alderman Edwards and a second from
I got it.
Alderman Waters. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Woodcock,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Browse,
Aye.
Skidmore,
Aye.
Robertson,
Aye.
Petrelli,
Aye.
Hayes,
Aye.
Edwards,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Bolt,
Aye.
Clary.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous to adjourn. I appreciate it. You all have a good night. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Mayor.
Night, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.